Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train. Holy fucking shit, that title. That's about the only issue I've got with this movie, but I was able to see this in theaters because my vaccine thing worked out alright, and I waited the prerequisite time, and it was showing in a theater near me, which in my area, it's like, wow! And granted, usually you have to travel further for like anime movies, but I'm like, wow, I could go to see that, and it worked out. And I'm like, yes, and I'm really glad I did because I thought I would be missing this one, but it lined up very well, and I'm glad I was able to see this in theaters because they did a really good job with this movie, and I'm glad that it's like, okay, we had the first season, and we have this movie, and it's going to link us into kind of what's going to be happening in season 2. So, I really liked it. Starts off pretty much exactly where the first season ended off, with them getting on the train to link up with the Flame Hashira or Rengoku, because he's investigating these demons that are taking out a lot of demon slayers. So, like, what's going on here? Of course, we get them going kind of crazy, and Osuke is like, what the fuck's going on? This thing's a like beast, and just acting all kind of funny because he's a mountain dude with his boar mask on. Zenitsu's like, Jesus, dude, and they're able to get to Rengoku. And the great kind of thing about this is we do get a good amount of character development with Rengoku. Granted, it kind of is a double-edged sword because of how it kind of ends, but it's the best thing you can get out of an anime movie is that it feels like an elongated episode where the pacing doesn't get thrown off. And that happens here because it just feels like an episode situation that probably could have been done into like a couple episode arcs. I would say like 3. But this just works nicely because we see him kind of eating and acting kind of weird. Well, at least to our standards. Tanjiro's like, what the hell's going on with this dude? And Tanjiro, of course, is like, asking him questions about like, hey, do you know anything about like the flame breathing that like my father did? He's like, nope, not a clue, but I'll make you my apprentice kind of thing. And it's like, all right. And then everybody's like really liking him and all that. And we get into a point where there's like 2 demons that pop up, and he just fucking beast modes out. And this is where this movie really does a very good job, because in the beginning we are shown why Rengoku is a flame Hashira, and because of course, his techniques dealing with the flame breathing and everything like that, and of course showing the technique with the fire and all that. But we show that he's a force to be reckoned with because he takes out 2 demons like it ain't nobody's business. These aren't like one of the 12 Kizuki or anything. These are just regular demons, and he's just like takes them all out before they can eat any people. And they're trying to kind of figure out what's kind of going on with this train. And of course we see, let me see, Enmu? The one that we had seen had gotten Muzan's blood. He was like, yeah, I'm going to do my shit, man. I'm going to get through this. And he's trying to like deal with this train using mainly sleep powers. So we see that they're pretty much falling over Rengoku, and we see the ticket dude come around. They punch their stuff, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? And we see that he's planning this out. He's going to put them all to sleep, and he's got 4 people to kind of like help him out. Of course, they're banking on the demon slayers, and these are like kids that have like horrible lives. We learn one of them is got tuberculosis, and they just want peaceful sleep. So they're going to go into these guys' dreams, kill their spiritual core so they don't wake up. And it's like, all right, that's kind of simple enough, as we see that everybody starts going to sleep, and we start seeing them in their different kind of dreams. Of course, Inosuke views himself as like the natural leader, pretty much fighting and hunting all different kinds of beasts, mainly like the train as its own kind of beast. Tanjiro and Zenitsu are just kind of weird kind of lackeys of his, as well as Nezuko. Zenitsu, of course, is skipping around and having a fun, frolicking time with Nezuko, and that's his kind of thing. And Tanjiro wakes up dealing with, of course, he's with his family again. They're whole, they're alive, they're happy, and of course, he has to fight through that. We also get to look into Rengoku's bit and see he definitely needs some more work put in through this film because of what happens at the end. Because we need to understand who he is, what kind of drives him. And we learn in his dream that he's like talking to his father about becoming the Flame Hashira, and that he doesn't care because it doesn't really mean anything, and that his father quit being a Hashira for some reason, and is really kind of just like lackadaisical about what's been going on. Of course, he then runs into his brother, tells him to follow his own kind of path. Excuse me. And that this was kind of the path and the kind of flame and passion that Rengoku has. And it's really kind of nice because I always like seeing the kind of like sibling kind of connections that people have. And it was nice for him to be a good older brother to his younger brother. And to kind of like help him kind of practice and everything with what's going on. So it's like, all right, he's in there. Then we see that the other kids kind of like pretty much tie themselves rope-wise to connect them so that way they can infiltrate the dreams. We at first see this girl kind of going after Rengoku's, and evidently the way that this demon is able to do his blood art is that it's more like a strange kind of like oval, and it's not infinite. So it'll kind of loop around on itself because you can only do so much. So she's able to find the kind of end of it, slash her way through, and sees that Rengoku's spiritual core is pretty much flame and burning kind of passion. And as she tries to get to it, Rengoku has such a strong survival instinct that even as asleep, it starts choking her in the real world to stop her, which of course stops her in the dream place as well. And she's like, Jesus, this dude's not screwing around. We of course then see the other ones kind of like bucking around, but like Inosuke and Zenitsu, those are kind of interesting because Inosuke is chasing the other chick. She's like, what the fuck? And then the other dude going after Zenitsu gets into like his kind of thing is what's going on? And the dude and Zenitsu is like, you're going after my Nezuko. Fuck you! And chases him with like all these kind of like scissors and shit. It's like, yeah, his kind of unconscious is kind of like fucked up, bro. You don't want to be in that shit. Well, Tanjiro gets kind of like the most kind of development with his. Barring like Rengoku and him coming to terms with the fact that this is wrong and everything, trying to figure out the discrepancy between the world and Nezuko being a demon, but he's able to come to it to himself. He's trying to get out and everything, and we see that the dude tries to get to his spiritual core, but we don't see exactly what happens until a little later. But we see that these spiritual cores, at least within Rengoku and Tanjiro's senses, are very representative of their kind of personalities. Now, we get the understanding of Rengoku's passion and what he understands with his strength, because we also see that he remembers his mother, and his mother telling him that the reason he is strong is so that he can protect the weak, and use that as his kind of source to use his strength wisely and justly, and that he really took that message to heart, because we see that going later on within the movie as well, as he's using it to protect as many people on the train as possible. Tanjiro's is kind of not an opposite, but a very like a difference kind of effect, a different kind of viewpoint, is that this dude is going to destroy the spiritual core, but instead of having all of these people like trying to stop the kid, these sprites come up and lead him to the core to help him, because it's very indicative of who these characters are. Not that Rengoku doesn't help people, but he understands that the strength that he has with his sword and everything, and his will to use that and to use that strength, is like indicative of his burning passion. Tanjiro is a kind person and wants to help people as much as possible, even to his own detriment. And that kind of breaks down the kid's resolve to do this, because he's like, I can't do this. This dude would probably actually try and help me in real life if I asked him, kind of thing. It's like, damn. And he just can't go through with it. Well, while this is going on and we're seeing them and Tanjiro's trying to figure out how to get out, Nezuko wakes up and is like, what the fuck? And we get, of course, some kind of funny moments as she's trying to wake him up. And I gotta hand it to this movie. It does do the humor and the seriousness balanced very well, kind of similar to what happens in the show. I.e., we get like the kind of crazy movement from the normal kind of art style to like kind of chibi and everything, and she's trying to like headbutt him and everything, and she's bleeding, and she's like sad, but then she figures out to use her blood demon art to start like burning the ropes, and that's what kind of also helps Tanjiro figure out everything's going on, because he's on fucking fire at one point, and he tries to get out and figures out that the only way to do that is to kill himself in the drain. This becomes important later on because he continually starts doing that to where it kind of blurs to a point where Inosuke kind of has to help him out. But he wakes up, has Nezuko kind of work everybody up. Tanjiro tries to go after the demon to kind of stop what's going on, and the demon keeps trying to put him to sleep. And it's like, yeah, I got your ass, but he keeps like snapping himself out of it, and he gets to a point where during this great fight sequence, he's able to cut his head off, but we learn that that's not actually his head, and that he has somehow been able to turn the whole train into his body. Now, I would kind of like a little bit more explanation on that. Now, granted, I understand that the Kizuki are different since they have ingested Muzan's blood, and that they have access to different kind of powers, but we need a little bit more to work with that than like this dude's able to turn his body in, like turn this train into his body with like fleshy organs and stuff like that. It's just like conservation of mass and energy. If he's eating more people in the train, sure. Now granted, he could have built up a lot of energy from all the people that he's eaten, so I can kind of, it's not a complete sticking point for me. It's just one kind of thing where I'm like, I kind of wish that this had been like done a little bit better. But yet it does lead to really good action set pieces and spectacle, and actually giving our heroes a very big problem of how the fuck do you like cut the head off a train. So Tanjiro's trying to figure out how to help everybody, and we see that the Flame Hashira, Rengoku, is like, alright, you and Inosuke deal with the cutting off the head. Zenitsu and Nezuko are able to take these 3 train cars, and I will take these back 5 train cars. And it's like just the testament to the strength of him that he's able to do that, and Zenitsu and Nezuko as well, to where there are no casualties. So we see our 2 intrepid heroes go up and try and figure out what's going on. We had also seen that like certain conductors were like on it, and they were promised sleep as well. We'd seen that with the children because the one dude was put to sleep to pretty much death. And they're able to get to the front engine of the train and find that that's where the kind of neck part is, where they need to cut his head. And the thing is, he's able to utilize and transform the train into fleshy appendages and using eyes to like put people to sleep. The thing is, he's not able to do it to Inosuke very well because he's got a mask, so he can't tell where he's fucking looking. Tanjiro has the hardest fucking time because he's pretty much constantly going do, where he's like asleep and then waking himself up, asleep, waking himself up, and it's kind of screwing him, and he almost gets to a point where he's going to kill himself in real life accidentally. But Inosuke is able to save his ass, and they pretty much work out the system where he will pretty much provide support, and Tanjiro will use his flame breathing to cut the neck portion, and they're able to do it, and they defeat him, and it's like, wow. But the thing is, this is like a 2-hour movie, and we're like, we still got some points going on for this, time-wise, what's going on? And we see that everybody's pretty much thrown out. Tanjiro was stabbed by, like, the conductor dude, but he still wanted to help him out as well. And Inosuke's like, fuck that dude, you're bleeding and everything. He's like, no, is he okay? Because I like that about Tanjiro, but I also was like, that's a fault that you gotta get to. I'm glad that he's like, I don't want to hurt this dude, and I want to make sure he's okay. But you gotta also take care of yourself as well. There is a balance. Tanjiro's gotta watch out to make sure that he doesn't completely fuck himself over in that instance as well, because he is one of the people that can like fight these demons. If he's taken out of commission, that knocks it down in case, I don't know, another big ass demon starts popping up as well. Well, Rengoku's able to kind of give him an information that like everybody's alive, we're all good, no casualties, and also walks Tanjiro through a new kind of breathing technique. Well, it's not a new kind of breathing technique, but an enhanced kind of version of figuring out the breathing technique to kind of heal himself. So he gets to the point and pretty much stops the bleeding and all that. It's like, that's really cool. And Rengoku's like, yeah, we got this, man. We're cool. But However, at the end, we get one of the high three Kizuki Akaza pops up, and he's like, tries to kill Tanjiro, because that was the big thing. Muzan wants Tanjiro dead, and he's like, oh, okay, because he was pretty much out there trying to see what was going on, and he's tried to do that, and of course this sets off Rengoku, because this is a person of strong who has strength and is trying to hurt someone who they perceive to be as weak, and Rengoku is pissed when Akaza says that like Tanjiro is weak, and that throughout this whole fight that they start to have, where we definitely see, we have at this point seen that Rengoku is not a demon slayer or Hashira to be fucked with. He definitely has abilities. However, we now see that brought up against some demon comparable abilities as well, and this is a dog of a fight. It is a great fight because it communicates so much of the characters in this fight. I mean, granted, they're also telling you, but they're also showing you what's going on as well. Because Akaza wants to turn Rengoku into a demon and asks him, I want you to be a demon because I want to fight you and get stronger and everything. And there's the difference of character. Akaza wants to be strong for his own sake and for his own selfish sake. Rengoku wants to use his strength to help those in need and those who are weaker. And that he even doesn't really view people as weak. Even though his mother used the term weak, he knows that like Tanjiro and Zenitsu and Inosuke are able to do things, and that given enough time and training they can be great. He even says so towards the end. So we see this titanic clash of these two people with their varying philosophies on strength duke it out with each other. And not only do we see it as character development as well as two characters showing us who they are, it's also clear and just fucking damn cool to see this in action, because we see the various kind of different ways that like Akaza uses his mainly martial arts kind of style versus the sword style that Rengoku uses. And it's just fucking nasty. We see that Akaza is able to heal pretty much instantaneously from a lot of different kind of wounds, and just to show the strength of what an upper tier class demon does, because he doesn't need to eat anybody or take anybody's blood that we've seen, and he's pretty much set, and they just keep clashing, and he keeps trying to get Rengoku onto his side, but he's not doing it, and he's going to stop him from doing what he's attempting to do and hurting Tanjiro. And the thing is, he tells Tanjiro and Inosuke to kind of stop and stay out of what's going on. And it's really, we also see Tanjiro and Inosuke's characters as well, because Inosuke's like, they're going so fast I can barely even see them. And Tanjiro feels like shit, because time and again, he gets into a situation where he is unable to help those that he wants to help most. And it's fucking frustrating for him. And I feel that in the character's performance and everything. And I'm like, damn it, man, I empathize with you. I get that. Hard fucking core. But the thing is, Rengoku is trying all these different kind of things, and he almost gets to a point to pretty much take him out, and pretty much gets on a technique that I would term like a term that is taken from the Wheel of Time series, sheathing the sword, i.e. you take a horrendous attack onto yourself, which pretty much lures in the enemy to a point where you can try and finish them off as well. Or at this point, we see that Rengoku is pretty much fucked up. He pretty much gets to a point where he almost takes off his head, but he's not quite able to do it because this beefy ass neck boy, and we see that the dude has pretty much punched through his stomach. And an interesting point I have on is that the thing is that the swords kind of like reflect certain different kind of like people as well. Tanjiro was brought up that he's like, hey, do you know of any like water Hashira or flame Hashira that have a black sword? Like, nope! But that's important because towards the end he is really likes Tanjiro and like puts him on the path for like the Flame Hashira. So we'll have to kind of see what's going on with that. But the thing is, Akaza is distraught that he didn't want to be a demon, that he didn't want to get himself stronger and make himself stronger throughout that. It's like, but he has already done the calculus of what he would lose, and that having mortality makes it more meaningful rather than doing what Akaza's doing. And the thing is, he's trying to get his arm out, but this motherfucker, like we've seen in his spiritual core, he's keeping him in there and trying to keep him there for the sunlight. But the thing is, he's pretty much trying to wriggle out as much as possible, and Tanjiro's like, screw this shit. And Inosuke, we gotta help him. And they're trying to like take him out, but he like rips off his arms and heals up and is pretty much booking his way out. And the thing is, Tanjiro is able to use a little bit of his flame breathing and tosses his sword and it impales the dude. And he's yelling at him that he's a coward and that he didn't win because Rengoku saved everybody and that he's running away. And he's like, I'm not running away from him or you. I'm running away from the sun. It's like, yeah, you're still running, you coward. And it just sucks to see Tanjiro. But it's an important bit because his sword went into Akaza, and Tanjiro doesn't have a sword anymore at this point. So we'll have to see how that kind of gets shaken out. But he goes to listen to Rengoku's last words, tells him to go find his brother and to go to his family's estate because his father's writings on the flame hashira and everything, it could lead him to understand flame breathing more and learn more about his father's technique, to tell his brother to follow his own path and everything, and that he believes that those three will be able to become the next generation of Hashira, and that he sees his mother kind of nodding in approval of him as he then smiles and passes away. And the thing is, we circle back around because we had began seeing the Master talking about all those that have died and paying respects to them, and here he wants to kind of like finish this out. And we see that one of the birds, like the crow, comes and sees what's going on, sees that there were no fatalities except for Rengoku, and even the bird was shedding a tear over it. It's like, damn. So he goes, tells the rest of the Hashira, tells the Master, the Demon Slayer Corps, and he's like, well, I'll meet you again soon, Rengoku. As we then had our next kind of portion to kind of go for the next season. So it's like, alright, the uppers are now known. We now know their power levels. We now know how they stack up against the Hashira. Even though we lost to Hashira, fucking Rengoku proved he was stronger, and that even though he died, he won. And that should prove to Tanjiro and the rest that if they get their skills up right, they should be able to take him out too. And to learn more and to figure out what's going on with Muzan and all these demons, because even Rengoku towards the end is like, I count Nezuko as part of us as well. Even though she's a demon, she chose to help and save people, and she doesn't eat people, and she doesn't harm people, and it's just cool. He, like, the Hashira in the beginning were like, what the hell's going on here? He's like, and seeing Rengoku even get more into that portion, even at the end, was just really nice. And it's just like, damn, I didn't know that. It's great that they're able to do such good writing and character development that he was only shortly within the first season, and then he's got this whole movie where we're able to have him fleshed out to this point. It's like, yeah, it kind of sucks that you get to a point where writers are like, we're probably going to kill this dude, so let's kind of like give him some character development. I can kind of see that, but the thing is, it works very well here because it took a character that I'm like, okay, I kind of like his design, and I'm kind of partial to the like element of fire and all that, and I was just like, damn, I really connect with this dude, and it sucks that he's gone, but he went out like a fucking boss, and it's awesome. I'm like, yes. So, I would now, the thing is, there's a lot of blood and everything. It's rated R. So, if you're not into that, Nope. But if you're into Demon Slayer, definitely recommend this. Of course, it's been out since like April, so if you're able to see it, cool. If not, I would definitely recommend finding some kind of streaming service if you're not comfortable going to the theaters, which that's cool. Or waiting until it's like out on Blu-ray or whatnot to watch it, because it's definitely worth it, because it's a great movie with good action, good characters, and good story, and it really sets up a nice point for the next season to go on. And if you kind of need this, because it's like really an important one to kind of give us the idea of the Hashira, kind of understanding Tanjiro's next kind of moves, as well as Zenitsu and Inosuke, and seeing kind of what's going on there. So I highly recommend this movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I saw it. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.